tell me about your experience when let's say, you started looking out for a job. I know the answer to this question, but I'll still ask, after coming to Netherlands, what was the most challenging stuff that you had? So how much time did you take from landing in Netherlands to actually buying an house? Talking about the language, how is it difficult if you don't know Dutch? Another thing I think is important is a commute, right? So do without owning a car. But if you want to travel and explore more, I think need a car, right? So we have been talking about 30% ruling a lot. I think it's good to clarify what is 30% ruling actually. Having moved here, settled here, bought a house, have a car, it's all going good. How much time do you think you can get out for hobbies? And do you think that part has changed? The personal time that you can get for yourself has changed as compared to when you were in here? Hello everyone, welcome to Staying Indian. Today we are joined by one of my good friends, Mayur Sabban. Mayur and I work for Suit Supply, very interesting company. But firstly, welcome Mayur.
Hi Gaurav, thank you.
Thanks for joining Mayur, and we would be discussing about your journey. But before we do that, I would like to know for our audience, if you can introduce yourself, where you belong from in India.
I basically come from a city called Ahmednagar, which is near Pune. It's around 120 kilometers from Pune, and it's in the center of Maharashtra. I born and brought up in Ahmednagar. My education until graduation was also in Ahmednagar, and I was campus placed in my college for an organization called Harman International, which is leading sounds and headphones brand. They have brands like JBL and Harman Kardon, AKG. They're some of the popular brands from Harman. I worked there for 5 years, and I started my journey as an software engineer for e-commerce, and then I worked for several organizations after Harman International. And I grew up working all sorts of jobs. I was working when I was studying, so I used to work in cyber cafes. I used to work in I sold newspaper for quite a while. I think
Really?
8 years. I used to sell newspaper. I used to deliver milk in the morning, and then used to go to college. So
Nice. I definitely appreciate your hard work, and I can see that grid, still there. So nice. Had you traveled outside of India before, you traveled to Netherlands?
yeah, I did travel to Denmark before I migrated to Amsterdam. I was there for a Salesforce conference. Back then it was called Exchange, because they don't conduct Exchange anymore, so they have renamed it. And also, but that was my first visit outside India, and that was not just first visit outside India, but that was first visit outside Maharashtra on a flight. So that was my first flight actually in my life. And so I think that I was 24 back then, 24 or 25. So for my first travel to Copenhagen, I was well prepared for a trip of 4 days. I had a luggage of 3 huge bags. I didn't know exactly what to, of course I had a discussion with my senior colleagues and everything, but I didn't trust anyone. I thought I might need this, I might need that, and I bought so many things which I later regretted, because it was a huge bag, 3 huge bags that I carried to Copenhagen. And we traveled actually in August, which is in summer for Copenhagen. And I did some research, and it was said it would be hot, and hot for Europeans is not really hot for Indians. So we didn't take a lot of winter clothing, and that was something not a very good decision, because it was still very cold for me in Copenhagen. But it was nice. My first experience outside India, it was nice, and Copenhagen is a very beautiful city. One thing which is common in Copenhagen and Amsterdam, where we are staying right now, is a lot of bicycles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I kind of vividly remember in my first travel to Stockholm, Sweden, and during December we had a knee-high, kind of snow, and I was just wearing a normal hoodie or a jacket, and one of my kind of colleagues picked me up from airport, and he was like laughing at me for just having a hoodie and not having a jacket. So the first thing we did at the airport was buy a really heavy jacket so that I can step out.
Yeah, that happens. Like even in Amsterdam as well. I think Netherlands is quite windy. Always have a windy climate. Always, even in summer. It was in 2017, and so it was in 2017 August. I guess I remember correctly, July or August. And I moved to Amsterdam after 2 years. 2 years after that, I think in 2019 March.
Okay. And was it with the same company or was it for a different company? How did you got the opportunity?
Yeah. So I think there are like two different types of recruitment that happened. Before COVID, there was completely different types of recruitment that used to happen. Mostly the recruitment was through LinkedIn, and if you so I visited when I went to Copenhagen. I also came to Amsterdam, and I loved Amsterdam back then. So I decided, so if ever I plan to go outside India for work, I would be visiting Amsterdam because I love Amsterdam. The first reason was Amsterdam is very cosmopolitan, and they have a lot of people who speak English, and you get comfortable easily moving in Netherlands. So that was first reason for me why I wanted to come to Amsterdam or Netherlands. I started applying through a lot of different portals, but mostly I got a lot of help through LinkedIn. I got selected for a couple of companies, but I selected Suit Supply because it was close to what I was already working in India. And Suit Supply had a very good policies when it comes to giving you an offer, and then the whole process of visa sponsorship and everything was very, very friendly and very easy for Suit Supply.
Tell me about your experience when let's say you started looking out for a job. So you said you got a lot of help from LinkedIn. So how actually were you looking? Because when you go to search jobs on LinkedIn, there are like plenty of jobs available in Netherlands and Europe, right? How do you find out the job that sponsors your visa?
The first thing that I think, if you plan or if you want to go come to Netherlands, and if you're still working in India, I think the first thing that you need to do is to plan your search with a clear mindset that you need to find out the companies. First of all, you need to find out the companies who are looking for people all over the globe, not just from Netherlands, because I think 90% of the job openings that you see on LinkedIn are mostly for people who are already in Netherlands, because they then have like just 1 month of notice period and they can move.
Yeah.
So I did that part of search well. I used to find out the companies who are open for visa sponsorship, and you can get that information in the job description most of the time.
Nice. No, definitely. And even when I used to do my search, I used to put keywords like sponsorship, because a job description would have a keyword sponsorship only if they are going to give or not give. They are very specific.
Yeah. But I think the very good point is to also focus on the location that where you want to move to, because I think a lot of people start applying to a lot of countries, and then they figure out, I don't really want to go to in this country because I would like to go in this country. It's not about that country being bad, it's about they want to move somewhere. So I think it's good to just concentrate on one city or one country and then start applying. Yeah, it's also like about the personalities. If you're a personality, what type of personality you have, so that depends on where you will be comfortable.
Yeah. So talk us through, when you zeroed down on Amsterdam, and then you started applying. You got a good offer. You got a couple of offers. That's a really good luck and hard work.
Mhm.
And then, how did the process began once you accepted the offer?
Mhm. So the before the recruitment also, I think there is a huge difference between how the recruitment happens in India and how the recruitment used to happen in Netherlands. I think now everywhere it's almost the same. But one common thing that happens in Netherlands is to have an half day of work, like working with the actual team that you would work in future for like 4 hours. But since I was in India, I worked for half a day from India itself.
Once you had the let's say the offer letter and the MBB, how
Mhm.
was it on a personal level that you were kind of preparing yourself to
Mhm.
move to Netherlands? On a family level, there are a lot of emotions
Yeah,
as well involved.
a lot of emotions actually. I had a very tough time, frankly, because my family, especially my mother, did not wanted me to go far away from, like, even though I was not living in Ahmednagar, my mother lives in Ahmednagar. I used to live in Pune, so we are not like we were living 120 kilometer apart, but still I used to visit during weekends and once in a month.
Yep.
To Ahmednagar, but this was too far for her, and she was like really nervous because she never thought I would go outside India.
Yeah.
So it was only my mother who had like some, because of course she loved me a lot. But my whole family, I have 3 siblings. Everyone backed me, and they were really happy that I would explore something new.
Yeah.
They helped me a lot in making this decision, because even though when I got an offer, before even filing for visa, I had to discuss this everything, especially with my fiance, because I was engaged and I was about to get married in a couple of months. So I had to decide, I have to change the date as well. So I had to convince my in-laws as well to prepone the wedding. So I preponed the wedding for 2 months, which is like a challenging decision in India, because we have these grand celebrations and everything
Yeah.
that is planned already. The wedding hall is booked already. That was, I think, more challenging than convincing everyone for letting me go to
Yeah.
Netherlands.
Did you fly with your wife then, or you called her later?
No. So basically, this visa sponsorship for the wife, it all depends on the marriage certificate.
Mhm.
And basically, a lot of people do it differently. People normally have court marriages. They do it before the actual wedding, so they have this marriage certificate, which they then file for the visa, and then they can they can fly together. But
Yeah.
in my case, I did not have the time. Also, no dates were available, so I had to apply for the marriage certificate on the same day. But it took some time, and then I knew I won't be able to uh, get the visa for her in time. So I gave it a note, and then after 3 months, we got her visa, and she
Okay.
came alone.
Okay. Nice. So I know the answer to this question, but I'll still ask, after coming to Netherlands, what was the most challenging stuff that you had to?
Getting a house. So I think if you are not in Netherlands, I think in India especially, it's very easy to get an apartment or house or anything. Even if you are new to the city, even if you don't know the language in any part of India, it's just about the cost of whether it would be cheaper, whether it would be costlier. But you will get ultimately. But in Netherlands, it's not the case. Normally, it takes people for anywhere between 4 to 6 months to get a reasonably good house within the area they want.
I have heard a lot of people start searching for house before even they land. So they already start. So there are groups like Indians and Amsterdam Indians, Utrecht. They join these groups. There are a lot of postings. There is this site called funda.nl. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of resources, and people start searching
Yes.
before even they land here.
And the good thing about these group is you can just ask a question and you will get a lot of guidance. which if you want to spend time on your own, which can take anywhere between 1 to 2 months. So this can speed up your process of maybe getting more information about everything, not just like searching for the house, but everything.
Yeah, no, indeed. And one of the other challenge that I think was that you have to find a house, or you have to do anything for that money. All your appointments and everything has to be between the working hours. Either
No,
you have
that is, I think, one what you say, cultural shock, I guess. you get
exactly.
when you come to Netherlands.
Yeah.
For everything, like for healthcare, for government appointments, for everything, you can only book an appointment in weekdays, only working hours. So not even after 5 o'clock. So you have to take 1 to 2 hours of quick time from work.
I was not that lucky. I visited almost 50 houses, and then I also, kind of showed my interest to at least 20, and then I got one, and it took like almost 4 months. So I had to extend my stay in the service apartment in which we were staying as well. But yeah, it takes a long time than you imagine, and I would have also prepared a bit well in advance for that.
In advance. Yeah.
You said that you are living in Albi now. So how was your journey from renting an apartment to buying a house? How much time it took, and how much effort did it, especially given the housing market condition in Netherlands?
Yeah, oh boy, that's itself is, I think, one of the most challenging part in my life. I think it was more challenging than I think getting a job, because when I started searching for a house, and but by the way, thanks a lot for friends like you. That's why we decided to search for house. But Corona started, and somehow, I don't know. I still don't know the reason why, but the housing market started booming, and it didn't just boom. It was like skyrocketing.
Crazy.
Within 3-4 months, I guess. I started looking for a house in 2019, September or something, but it was, I think, just getting so difficult to even get an viewing appointment. So basically, when you want to buy house in Netherlands, you can't just like go and decide to buy that property. Even if it is a new build or an old house, you have to first book an appointment for viewing, and that is also a limited slot. So you should be lucky to get into those slot. What was happening in COVID time was, let's say they had 100 slots, and like there were 1,000 people interested to buy that house. So it was very difficult to get into the first step. Rest of the process was not even allowed. If you don't, if you're not part of the viewing list, then you are not even allowed to bid, because then you don't know about house, everything.
And most of the time, the bidding is higher than what the price is listed in. That was a kind of, again, a cultural shock. Very surprising.
Yeah.
They've asked for X amount, and you have to pay X plus 10% or even 20%.
Right. But ultimately, I think if you stay persistent, you get an appointment for viewing, and then if you are lucky, then you bid. It's also I think very tricky. You have to get help from brokers, especially. You can't decide the bidding amount on your own, because you don't know the market. You don't know how much the houses in neighborhood went for. So the brokers normally help you in bidding process, I think. So I would recommend for. But a lot of things also you have to do after viewing. So if you like the house after viewing, you have to get the valuation for the house. You have to get the bank approval for the mortgage if you want to actually go for the mortgage, which I think is the case for everyone, except if you're a millionaire. But those kind of things, you have to prepare it well in advance. And then if the owner accepts your bid, then I think the process is a little easier afterwards once you win the bid, because then you just need the mortgage to get transferred. and
Yeah.
key handover process. But then I think the real journey starts.
So how much time did it
Making-
take from landing in Netherlands to actually buying an house, and why is it important to buy a house?
So there is an equation. So now that equation has gone bad, not bad, but that's changed. I moved to Netherlands in April 2019. I wanted to buy the house immediately, but it was not possible. I had to complete 1 year. So basically, as soon as I completed 1 year, that was in March 2020, I started looking for the house. But it's tricky. First of all, you have to have a long-term contract. That helps. You have 30% ruling that also helps to get like good amount of mortgage. For me, those things were in my side, so it was easy for me to get the mortgage approval. But to buy the house or not to buy the house completely depends on your long-term outlook, whether you want to live longer in Netherlands. Then it makes sense to buy the house because the rents are in Netherlands are pretty high. Sometimes your rent and your EMI for the house are exactly same, or maybe just rent is just
You correctly said that the equation has changed a lot now because the rate of
Yeah.
interest, at which we had our mortgage done was a lot lower than the rate of interest in current market.
current
And
market.
at the same time, I don't know about the rental prices have gone up as well, but I don't know by how much. But the housing prices have gone up by at least 30 to 40%,
30-40%.
depending on the area, and that has changed the equation a lot. So
Yeah.
in this whole period of between 2019 up till now, how was your wife doing? Because was not her plan. You had been to Denmark, Amsterdam, and it was your plan to move in. It was not her plan, and it was, I think, more shocking for her than for you, right? Because you were kind of prepared. So how was her journey?
So basically, I did discuss with her when I was started applying, but she was not really sure I will get a job soon, because as soon as I started discussing, and within 1 month I got an offer and then started telling everyone. So for her, it was really not a very enjoying or like happy decision to make, because her sister was living in Switzerland back then and didn't like not her sister but my wife, because it was like far away from family and it was very hard to communicate during daytime. So she did not want it to actually live in India. She loves food, she loves Indian cultures and family and friends. So it was for her a really tough decision to make. But I think within few weeks, she was also started getting more interested in Amsterdam, because before that she was not really aware of Netherlands and its culture, weather and everything. But when she moved here, it was, I think, only first couple of months, it was very shocking for her. In India, we have huge friends and family connections. We have after work parties, we have after works, snacks and everything that we miss when we come to Netherlands. She was, in like first 6 months, she was not working. So she was feeling a bit lonely. Then, of course, she got a job, and now I think she's more comfortable there.
Yeah, definitely. And all those things kind of grew up on you, right? You have to have colleagues in your office. You start to know people. You start to meet a lot of Indian communities. So all these things happen, but then there is a lag in between. So at times you do feel homesick, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Because we are grown up in like between friends and families and a lot of food. Food is something that I miss a lot because I'm a foodie. I used to eat a lot of snacks throughout the day, outside the offices, during the work and everything. Which is, of course, we have Indian restaurants in Netherlands. A lot of them, I think now, it's not the same feel. I think.
Yeah, I think couple of them do offer a good let's say, taste in terms of authentic
Yeah.
Indian. But yes, still there is a market gap between demand and supply. But
Yeah.
did you try some of the local Dutch food as well here?
Yes, yes. I do like some of the, because for me, Dutch cuisine is very limited. A lot of things that are not really for me. But I like fish, especially herring. Is kind of fish. It's a raw fish. They don't even cook it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
somehow I like it. Kibling is a fried fish. It's close to, I think pakoda. But the sweet fish
yeah.
pakoda with fish, I guess. Then we have like stroopwafel in desert. I think I like these three.
One of the things that I kind of, very distinctly remember is cheese. The importance of cheese in Dutch culture, right? So before that, when we were in India, we don't used to have a lot of cheese as much as the variety of cheese and other dairy products as well. So I think that was, I started to like cheese after coming to Netherlands.
The mind-blowing variety of cheese that you guys can see in Netherlands is like it's out of the world. You have so many varieties of cheese that even if you start testing one variety of cheese per day, it will take you around 6 months or 1 year, anywhere between. I don't even know how many types of cheese they have.
And especially when you go for that cheese tasting in Zanzibar cans, right?
Yeah.
Talking about the language, how is it difficult if you don't know Dutch?
I think it's not very difficult because Dutch people are really friendly. If you don't know Dutch, they immediately switch, and they are really good in English as well. So it's very common if you struggle in speaking Dutch, they immediately switch to English to make you comfortable. And most of the people, I think, very few people, I think, can't speak English. So I think majority speaks very good English, better than us, I guess. And they are really open when it comes to like communicating. So it's easy to move, but I still think learning Dutch is a good way to communicate, because then you can also make them comfortable. If you speak Dutch, your life gets easier. But it's not required for first few months. I guess you can get by with English very easily. I think you can get by with English throughout your journey in Netherlands. But it's good to learn Dutch, and it helps you move around in like supermarkets, in stores, and etc.
The reason why I'm smiling is I've got through without learning Dutch for 5 years. I know like 1% of the language, and only thanks to Google Translate. You can translate all the websites on to English. So I have to do my taxes, I have to, apply for a lot of things. So yeah, otherwise...
Yeah, letters that you get are in Dutch. So
yeah,
of course, if you have a Google Translator, you don't need to know, but it is good to even get some things of the language before you use those tools.
Another thing I think is important is commute, right? So I think public transport is really excellent. You can do without owning a car. But if you want to travel and explore more, I think need a car, right?
You need a car. It depends on like what kind of travel you want to do. Because for me, I bought a car a month ago, and I am almost completed 4 years here. And I did not actually didn't need car for most of the time to go to work or even to travel within Europe. But if you want to explore places where there is less connectivity, and if you want to explore places where it's difficult to go by, you have to change different trains and buses, then I think car helps. But in Netherlands, at least, the train connectivity is pretty good. You can go, if you have time, you can go to any place with train and bus.
Yeah. It takes a bit longer than if you have a car, but tell us about you had Indian license, right? And I know you have gone through a painful process of getting. I think it's not that painful for you, but not painful for my friends.
Yeah.
But tell me the process how you got the Dutch license.
So basically there are two ways to get the Dutch driving license. One is if you have a 30% ruling, and if you have an Indian driving license which is older than 6 months before you move to Netherlands. I think that's how it is. Then you can just exchange your license to get the Dutch license, and that is, I think, one of the best use cases for 30% ruling, because the second way of getting license is pretty challenging. It's as challenging as your board exam, and maybe more than that. So for getting your Dutch license, especially in Netherlands, if you don't have a four-wheeler driving license from India, is challenging, because they have like written exam, which itself is tough. A lot of people fail in the written exam for 2-3 times. Your result is valid for 1.5 years. So you have to give your practical driving exam in that 1.5 period, which is again tricky, because you can't learn on your own like sometimes we learn in India. You have to take lessons from certified driving schools, and they are quite expensive. For me, I did not know how to drive in India, so I had to learn from zero. I had to spend more money on learning the driving skills as well as the rules. So it's not just about the driving. Practical driving exam is, I think, maybe toughest 5 in entire world, because you have to drive for somewhere around 30 to 40 minutes. Then if you pass, you get the driving license, which is the way I got it. It took me around 1 year for both the practical and the reason it took longer, because I think you also don't get the practical driving exam dates easily. When I got the license, then I realized, and when I'm driving on the road now, I realize how safe it is to go through all these processes, because then only people who actually know how to drive are on the street, and that makes your life as well as their a lot safe. Like also a lot of people who can drive in India can drive anywhere in the world, because then you have like now you have very complex situations through which you can drive. So it's very easy, I think, to drive in Netherlands compared to India, because rules are like very strict, no ambiguous situations mostly, and people normally follow the rules outside the city, inside the city, whether there are cameras or no. If you have an Indian license, I think you still should learn the rules first, even before renting the car, because if you rent the car and then you try to learn the rules on the road, that won't be a lot safer, because of course driving in India, but a lot of rules in Netherlands are quite different to and are like, I think, unique to Netherlands, or unique or not common in India. So it's good to learn the rules first. They have like books, they have some website through which you can learn, and you can also take a couple of classes from the driving school to just get comfortable with the rules. And
especially because there are bicycle lanes along the roads everywhere in the Netherlands, so you have to keep an eye on if there are pedestrian crossing or if bicycles are crossing. So I think it's
and they have the priority most of the time.
Yeah. So we have been talking about 30% ruling a lot. I think it's good to clarify what is 30% ruling actually. So when you move to Netherlands, you get a visa called high-skill migrant visa, and with that visa you're eligible to save 30% of your salary, which will not be taxed. You'll get taxed only on 70% of your salary. And the reason why government has this is because they think that as an immigrant you have additional expenses of traveling to your home country every year, and to compensate that, I think it's a very good rule. I think more and more countries should use it, but right now I think only Netherlands and Belgium has that.
I think, but the rule says that you have to migrate from at least 150 kilometer away from Netherlands. So if you are in Belgium and let's say you live within 150 kilometer from the radius from Netherlands, not radius, from Netherlands border, then you're not eligible. So I think you have to be.
I think India is more than 150 kilometers. So.
Yeah, I was just talking about Germany and people from Germany and Belgium. Because I think these people get a lot of benefits when it comes to if they are eligible for 30% ruling. The difference in salary is huge.
having moved here, settled here, bought a house, have a car, it's all going good. How much time do you think you can get out for your hobbies? And do you think that part has changed? The personal time that you can get for yourself has changed as compared to when you were in India?
I think it changed for better because I have more time in weekend. I do a lot of stuff during weekend. I used to make copy paintings, which I don't make recently. I haven't made recently. I read a lot. I read close to like 40 to 50 books per year. So reading is something that I really enjoy. I have more time now for my hobbies. More time in even for like people who are really into fitness. They can also go for bicycle rides during weekend if the weather permits.
And I think why it's important to know is because, you have to do a lot of, 100% of the work that you do as household chores by yourself. You don't have services for cleaning, for anything, but yet, you are saying that you get time, right?
Yeah, I think that's also depends on whether you have kids. As I said, I think few days ago, don't take productivity advice from people without kids. So it's completely different scenario for me. But I think you are right. In Netherlands, or I think in any country, any other country, you don't get house helps so easily. And it's expensive as well. So you have to do a lot of chores. Like I also painted my house recently.
Yeah.
It is fun. And
it looks nice.
also it. Yeah. I am really happy. I think I was not expecting this, but it's also the case that if you have time, I think it's good to do it yourself.
Every weekend, I am a different kind of a household person. I
have a plumber.
I am a plumber. I am an electrician. I am a gardener. So yeah, it's and you get a lot of DIY stuff here as compared to India. So in India, it's starting to grow, but here you get a lot of DIY tools. You get a lot of power tools easily. I think some
on rate as well. Like, don't have to buy everything out. Actually, if you need heavy machinery, you can just rent it out. That's, I think, one of the benefit everywhere. A lot of people normally move to Netherlands or any city so that they can explore all the other cities, all the other countries that they have been talking about throughout their, I think, journeys throughout their career. And it's very easy to travel within Europe. And if you have a car, then it's one of the easiest way to move around. And you can go to places which is unexplored normally, which you don't see in movies. You haven't seen it in movies. These kind of locations you can only explore if you have a car.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think bus transport, train transport, if you compare it with US, I think it's much more convenient and cheaper as well in Europe.
I think if you plan your journey well in advance, then it's a lot cheaper than the last minute bookings.
So I think one of the closing questions that I would like to ask is, what is the one thing that you miss the most living here, and what is the one most hardest thing that you have to do every day, which has become which was different than what you used to do in India?
I think the one thing that I miss most is family. That it's hard for a person like me who's was very connected to all my family and friends. Of course, you can have video calls and everything, but it's not the same. You don't get to see them more often. You can't go out with them. So that was one of the difficult thing for me. The other task is, I think, the weather. In winter and even in autumn, the weather is not that friendly. So you can go out, of course, but then you have to prepare everything. You have to get the jacket and everything. Then it's not very crowded. So I like people on the road. I like people on the street. So if you want to do that, you have to go to maybe Amsterdam city. Then it's too far. That is one challenge I face, I think, during winter. But summer, I think it's it's the same as in India.
I think it's equally crowded in summers as it's not crowded in winters. In summers, you'll see
Yeah,
everyone on streets.
it's like 10x.
Yeah.
Crowd goes 10x.
So Mayur, thanks for doing this. Thanks for doing this on a friendly, note. And it's a lot of good tips. Anyone who wants to connect with you can connect with you on which other platforms?
Yeah, sure. You can connect with me on Facebook or
Yeah, and post the links to all your social media accounts down, and you have a lot of good paintings on Instagram. And I'm looking for more.
yeah, sure. I will start again. And I'm planning to start them. So,
Okay.
but thanks for inviting me. I had a wonderful time chatting with you.
Thanks, Mayur. See you guys.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.